For over 70 years, one promise held the West together. 31 countries swore one attack meant an attack on all. Now imagine waking up, and that promise is gone. No treaty, no warning, just silence where trust once stood. What happens to your safety, your money, your world? This is what would actually happen if NATO collapsed. And the answer reveals more about power than fear. If you're enjoying this, hit like and subscribe now. And drop a comment, it really helps this channel grow. So what exactly is this alliance everyone is talking about? NATO began in 1949, after the ruins of World War II. 12 countries signed a treaty in Washington, promising mutual defense. Today, 31 nations belong, spanning North America and Europe. Its founders wanted one thing: never fight each other again. Instead, they built a shield strong enough nobody would test it. That shield rests on a single, powerful idea: unity. Historian Margaret Macmillan calls alliances insurance policies against chaos. You pay a premium in peacetime, hoping never to need it. But what exactly does that insurance promise cover? The heart of the promise is one clause, Article 5. An armed attack on one member is an attack on all. In plain terms, hurt one ally, and 30 more respond. It has only been triggered once, after September 11, 2001. Every member sent help, even though the attack hit just one. That single use proved the promise wasn't just words on paper. Article 5 doesn't force tanks and planes automatically, though. Each country still chooses exactly how it responds. The power isn't in force, it's in certainty. An enemy who knows 31 nations will respond usually hesitates. This strategy has a name: deterrence. Deterrence means preventing a fight by making it too costly. Nobody has to actually swing first for the shield to work. Just the threat of a unified response keeps the peace. Analysts often compare it to a lock on your front door. The lock rarely stops a break-in, its presence does. For 70-plus years, that lock has mostly held. So then, why would anyone want to remove it? The first crack starts with something surprisingly ordinary: money. Members promised to spend 2% of their economy on defense. For years, many countries fell short of that target. Some leaders argued they were paying for everyone else's safety. Year after year, frustration built up behind closed doors. Imagine footing 70% of a shared bill every year. Eventually, that imbalance breeds resentment, not unity. Political scientist John Mearsheimer has long studied alliance strain. He argues alliances survive only while interests truly align. Once the bill feels unfair, the promise starts to wobble. Money isn't the only strain, politics matters just as much. 31 countries rarely agree on everything, all the time. Some leaders prioritize their own region's threats over distant ones. Others worry the alliance drags them into conflicts they didn't choose. Elections can flip a country's stance overnight. A new government might question commitments the last one signed. Public opinion shifts too. War weariness spreads through headlines. Add fast-changing technology like cyberattacks and drones to the mix. Old treaties weren't written with today's threats in mind. So the alliance has to keep adapting or risk falling behind. Now picture the moment it actually happens. No single dramatic war ends it, just a slow unraveling. One country announces it's stepping back from its commitments. Then another follows, citing cost, then a third, citing politics. Within weeks, the treaty exists on paper only. Headquarters staff still show up, but decisions freeze. News anchors scramble to explain what this even means. And across 31 countries, phones start lighting up with alerts. In the first few hours, confusion outweighs any actual danger. Nobody attacked anybody, but nobody knows the rules anymore. Stock markets open nervous, unsure how to price the uncertainty. Government officials hold emergency calls through the night. Military commanders check which alliances, if any, still stand. Ordinary families wonder if this affects their daily lives at all. Airports stay open. Grocery stores stay stocked. Life looks normal. But underneath that normal surface, something fundamental has shifted. The shield that deterred conflict for decades just went quiet. And quiet, in this case, is not the same as safe. The uncertainty lands hardest on the alliance's smallest members. Picture a small country bordering a much larger neighbor. For decades, membership meant powerful friends had your back. Suddenly, that backup plan is just gone. Its own military might number in the thousands, not millions. Citizens there watch the news with a very different kind of fear. Do you rush to rearm? Do you seek new friends fast? Every choice now carries far higher stakes than before. Neighboring small nations face the exact same scramble all at once. Alone, size matters. Together, it barely did. Larger members face a different problem: sudden responsibility. Without a shared alliance, defense budgets can only go up. Some countries would need to double, even triple, military spending. That money has to come from somewhere else entirely. Hospitals, schools, and roads suddenly compete with tanks and jets. Governments face brutal choices between guns and butter. Military drafts, quiet for generations, become dinner-table conversation again. Factories that made cars might retool to build weapons instead. It's not war yet, but it starts to feel like preparing for one. And preparation itself changes how a society lives day to day. Defense isn't the only budget line that feels the shake. Global markets hate uncertainty more than almost anything else. Investors pull money from regions that suddenly look unstable. Currency values swing as traders guess who's safe and who isn't. Trade slows when shipping routes cross now uncertain borders. Energy prices often spike first. They're sensitive to any tension. Your grocery bill, gas price, even your savings can feel it. Small businesses far from any borders still absorb the shockwaves. A promise made among governments ripples straight into ordinary wallets. The economy, it turns out, runs partly on trust too. Then there's the most sensitive question of all: nuclear weapons. Part of the alliance's shield includes a nuclear umbrella. Some members rely entirely on an ally's nuclear deterrent. Without that umbrella, those countries face an uncomfortable choice. Do you trust a broken promise, or build your own arsenal? Nuclear experts warn that more weapons programs raise global risk. Every new nuclear program makes accidents more likely, statistically. This is called proliferation, weapons spreading to more hands. It's why analysts see collapse as dangerous, not just costly. Fewer fingers near the button, most experts agree, means safer. So countries wouldn't just sit still, they'd start calling each other. New regional partnerships would likely form within months. Some nations might lean toward entirely different global powers. Others might band together in smaller, tighter regional pacts. Diplomats would work around the clock, drafting fresh agreements. Trust, once broken, is far slower to rebuild than to break. Every new pact would be tested by the same old question: will anyone actually show up when it matters most? Paper promises only mean something once they've been proven real. Zoom out, and the entire balance of global power shifts too. For decades, this alliance anchored a specific version of world order. Remove the anchor, and other powers naturally drift toward the gap. Regional powers gain more room to assert their own interests. Global institutions built around that old order feel the strain. Trade routes, alliances, even cultural ties can realign. Historian Paul Kennedy studied the rise and fall of great powers. His research found power vacuums rarely stay empty for long. Something, or someone, always moves in to fill the gap. The only real question is who, and on what terms. In every big shift, somebody finds an advantage. Defense industries, for one, would likely see enormous new demand. More countries buying more weapons means booming order books. Private security and intelligence firms could expand quickly too. Nations outside the old alliance gain new bargaining power. They can now offer partnerships that once weren't on the table. Rising regional powers get a louder voice in global decisions. Even neutral countries might suddenly find themselves courted by everyone. Being wanted by all sides has its own kind of leverage. But winning here rarely means anyone is truly better off. Meanwhile, ordinary people rarely feel like winners at all. Smaller nations lose their loudest safety net overnight. Citizens face higher taxes as governments rebuild defenses from scratch. Young people may face drafts their parents never considered. Uncertainty itself becomes a daily, background kind of stress. Refugees and displaced families often bear the earliest, harshest costs. Global cooperation on climate, health, and trade can stall too. When trust breaks in one place, it's harder to trust anywhere. Even citizens in powerful countries feel less secure, not more. Security, it turns out, was never really about size alone. Picture your own week, if all of this actually unfolded. Monday, your news feed is nothing but alliance headlines. Tuesday, gas prices tick up before your regular commute. Wednesday, your city announces a review of emergency shelters. Thursday, a distant cousin gets a draft registration letter. Friday, your bank sends a notice about market volatility. By the weekend, everyone at dinner has an opinion and a worry. None of this is dramatic on its own, day to day. But stacked together, it quietly reshapes how you plan life. A promise between governments, suddenly, is deeply personal. So could this actually happen, or is it mostly hypothetical? Most analysts agree. Total collapse remains unlikely, but not impossible. Alliances rarely vanish overnight. They usually erode slowly, if at all. Researchers at the Rand Corporation have modeled scenarios like this for years. Their war games consistently show cooperation outperforming going it alone. Political scientist John Mearsheimer agrees. Interests keep alliances alive. Historian Margaret McMillan notes most members still see huge value staying. The math, in other words, still favors sticking together. That doesn't mean the alliance is free of real strain. It means the promise has survived worse tests than this. History actually backs this up, more than headlines suggest. The alliance has weathered furious disagreements before, more than once. Leaders have clashed over wars, spending, and strategy for decades. Every single time, the alliance bent, but it never broke. Why? Because leaving is far riskier than staying and arguing. Outside the shield, every member becomes a smaller, easier target. Inside it, even disagreements happen from a position of safety. That's the quiet logic holding 31 different nations together. Not perfect friendship, shared self-interest, dressed up as loyalty. And self-interest, historically, tends to be remarkably durable. So if you're picturing tanks rolling the day it ends, the Real story is far less explosive and more gradual. It's budgets, elections, and quiet doubts wearing down trust. It's smaller nations recalculating who truly has their back. It's markets, treaties, and everyday wallets absorbing the shockwaves. And its leaders, again and again, choosing to patch the shield. Because whatever its flaws, the alternative looks far more uncertain. Deterrence isn't glamorous. Most days, it's simply invisible. You only notice a shield once somebody tries to break it. So, back to that promise you imagined breaking at the start. It turns out that promise was never really about paperwork. It was about 31 nations choosing, again and again, each other. That choice costs money, patience, and constant compromise. But it buys 70 years without its members at war with each other. For over 70 years, one promise held the West together, and still does. The only real question left is whether you'd choose to keep it.